Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hope you are doing great today. Now in this video, what I'm gonna do is I'll walk you through how most law firms burn money on paid marketing campaigns and how you can essentially make sure that you avoid that, okay? Now, if you've ever worked with an agency or let's say like some sort of a lead prior in the past and they really saw any success with it, then this guide is really going to shed quite a bit of light to you as to why that's been happening. And also it's gonna walk you through exactly how what we usually do for our partners who are law firms, how what we do for them is completely different than like what they have essentially tried in the past, which allows us to generate upwards of 30 cases per month with an average, minimum case value being at about $7.5 thousand in their attorney fees. So I really advise you to actually check this video in full, because by the end of it, you will have so much more context as to how you should think as a law firm owner when it comes down to getting way more high paying cases for your law firm and do it also incredibly profitably, okay? Now, first, let me just show you some results real quick so you can see some proof as to like what exactly I'm talking about. Here's one of our clients right here, Christina, where we helped her sign 5 new family cases in the first 7 days of this month, where she collected $19.5 thousand in retainer cash collected up front, and then the average total value of these 5 cases that she signed on totally are about $72.5 thousand. And also, how we are currently booking upwards of 5 qualified appointments for her every single day with people who are making 100 grand a year in their household income, and they're also like very serious about hiring an attorney. Here we have one of our clients, Carl, sign on 2 new family cases in the first 7 days of the week with $10,000 in retainer cash collected, and the overall case worth value being about $25,000. Here we have Steve, within the first week of launch, booked 11 qualified appointments for his family law practice without needing to actually chase his own leads. As you can see right here, some of the appointments that essentially came in. Here is one of our other partners, Ashley, for which currently we are having an average cost per qualified appointment being booked in at about $160, give or take. And as you can see right here, for the month of December, we spent about $3.7K on marketing, brought in 20 free qualified appointments with an average cost per qualified appointment being about $160, give or take, okay? Now, the thing is, many of you that are watching this video right now have probably worked with some marketing agents in the past, or some sort of lead providers, and maybe you have seen some pretty great success with them. But if you're like most law firms, chances are you have been burnt in the past quite a lot. And maybe at first when you began working with them, things began performing relatively well. You were signing on some cases, things like that. But then after a while, things kind of like died down. Or maybe you're like most law firms where you actually never saw any success with any marketing partners in the past whatsoever, okay? But then the thing is that you see other law firms, right, that are using the exact same channels. Maybe it's Facebook ads, Google ads, PPC, Google LSAs, or whatever it may be. You see other law firms using these channels as well, but they are incredibly successful with it. And you might be wondering, why exactly is that? Well, the thing really is that it's not pretty much about what you do, but more of like how you do it. Because if you give a soccer ball to, let's say, like a kid, right, that kid is going to kick the ball, but the chances are that ball is not going to go ahead and hit the goal, right? It's going to be a very slim chance that it's going to go ahead and hit the goal, right? However, if you give that exact same soccer ball to like Cristiano Ronaldo or maybe Messi, right, he's going to do the exact same thing, which is kick the ball, but the way how he's going to hit it is going to go ahead and actually hit the goal, and he's going to be successful, right? So this is like one very important thing to keep in mind. It's not really about what you do, but more of like about how you do it. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you have tried in the past doesn't work for you, and what you should do in a sense to kind of like see results, and also usually how we work with our partners and implement a system for them that is completely different from what they have essentially tried in the past. And this is like the biggest reason why we see some really incredible success with our partners, okay? So before I walk you through the system, let me first walk you through what is the biggest problem with law firms, okay? Because most law firms are essentially stuck on relying working with marketing agencies or lead providers to actually get more leads, get more cases, things like that, which obviously puts them in a position where they're not in control of their growth, right? Because they always have to rely on a marketing agency or a lead provider to get more leads, get more quality leads, and once things are working, also rely on them to profitably scale, things like that. So the thing is that you're not really in control, right? And not to mention that, pretty much you're always stuck paying these monthly retainers every single month, no matter how many cases you sign on every month. You might sign on 1 case, you still need to pay the exact same retainer. You might sign on 0 cases, you still need to pay the exact same retainer, right? And because of this, what I and my team have done is we have actually developed a system that plugs into law firms, allowing them to pretty much own and be in control of their own lead generation and case acquisition system, where next month, if they, for example, want to double their caseload, right, they can simply do that by doubling their inputs, and they don't necessarily need to rely on like a marketing agency and pay them a monthly retainer in a sense, right, which allows them to be in a position where all of their marketing budget goes into their actual marketing, right, which is ads and things like that, instead of them having to pay an agency a monthly retainer or a lead product like $200 or $500 for a lead, depending on how much they charge, right? And not to mention that they never have to rely on marketing agencies ever again, because now they actually own their own lead generation and case acquisition machine, which they are pretty much in full control of, which is what the most successful law firms essentially do as well. They actually are in control of their own marketing in a sense. If you're not in control of your own marketing, then you can't really expect to scale and get to the next level in your law firm, okay? So with that being said, let me walk you through the 3 pillars, okay, that really are going to give you more context as to why what you have tried in the past hasn't worked for you, and then also how you should think as a law firm owner when it comes down to getting more cases more profitably, and also how usually we work with our partners and what is that we do for them that's different from what they have tried in the past, okay? So first things first, I like to call this the qualified lead generation and case acquisition infrastructure, okay? Because when it comes down to you signing on more cases for a law firm, it's relatively simple. It's a pretty straightforward process. All you really have to do is you have to generate a qualified lead, then you need to book an appointment with that qualified lead, and then you need to pretty much get them to sign. That's pretty much it, right? Yet most law firms struggle with this very first step, because no matter what they do marketing-wise, they're kind of like always stuck in this infinite loop of getting tons of qualified leads, no matter what they do in a sense, right? And it's not that they're not generating leads. They actually are generating tons of leads. The problem is that it's the types of leads they're generating, because these leads that are coming in are not qualified, meaning that they can't pay for your retainer or whatever you might charge essentially, right? Or they flat out just might not be qualified. Maybe more, for example, they're not within your area, or they don't qualify based on any other criteria points, or whatever that might be in a sense, right? So let me walk you through what most marketing agencies do and lead providers do, and why that essentially does not work, okay? So when it comes down to marketing agencies, what they are usually going to do is they will usually send you some sort of worksheet to fill out with some questions on there once they begin a partnership with you, such as like, what area you're in, what type of clients you want to get, what is your lead criteria, qualifications, things like this. And once you fill that out and you send it back to them, they pretty much go ahead and start doing marketing for you, right? And this could either be through them running ads for you, doing SEO, or, I don't know, you sending them the marketing budget and them running the marketing campaigns on their end. And as it generates leads, they essentially send them your way, right? Now, the reason this rarely works is because these types of marketing campaigns pretty much attract everyone and anyone because of these 3 reasons. The first reason is that you're not leveraging AI to feed into the ad platform exactly who is your ideal type of a client, okay? Then second, the messaging and marketing campaigns does not resonate with your ideal types of clients as well, resulting in you attracting pretty much everyone and anyone. And I'll expand on that in a minute as well. And then the third point is that, the ad platform's algorithm feeds on data, meaning that the more leads it generates, the more it thinks that you want these types of leads. So when you get these unqualified leads, it learns from that, and it pretty much sends you even more of these types of leads who are unqualified, right? And to kind of like show you how this looks in a visual way, you can look at this diagram right here that I've made, where a lead is being generated, then the lead is being accepted by you, and then the algorithm learns from that and goes ahead and finds other people who are similar to that lead that it just basically generated, right? Because the algorithm doesn't necessarily know who you want to get as a qualified lead, right? Because you don't reject these leads. Like, you generate this lead, right? And it keeps on getting you more of these types of leads, and it keeps on learning from that. And ultimately you get to a point where you're in this infinite loop of getting tons of unqualified leads essentially, right? This is the reason why a lot of law firms that try Facebook ads, Google ads, and things along those lines never really see results with it, because they are always stuck in this loop of getting tons of unqualified leads, right? And speaking about lead providers as an example, well, what happens in most lead providers is that they will usually charge you $200 to $500 per lead, depending on their pricing, of course, and then they will send you these leads either through a live transfer or in any other way for you to essentially contact them, right? However, if you ever worked with any lead providers in the past, you know that these are notoriously well known for being terrible in lead quality. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense because their whole business model is structured in a way where they generate as many leads with the least amount of effort and cost as possible, meaning that they don't do any hyper vetting to 100% ensure these are actually really, really great leads for you to essentially sign off for a law firm, right? Because if they would do hyper vetting, they would need to charge you way more per each lead, because in that case, almost everyone they'll be sending your way, you'd sign on, right? Because if I ask you, like, what is your closing rate, right? How many people would you sign on? You'll probably tell me that, well, if the lead is qualified, meaning that they have the money, they are within your area, they qualify based on all the points, right? Depending on what area of law you do. If they qualify based on all those points, you'll probably tell me that you're going to close like 70 or 80% essentially, right? Well, the thing is that if they would do hyper vetting, right, pretty much nearly every single lead they would send your way, you'll basically close. And in that case, it doesn't make any sense for them to charge you just $300 for a lead. They will need to charge you closer to like 750, 800 to upwards even $1,000 for a lead. Even more than that, depending on what are the type of cases that usually go after, essentially, right? And what happens as well is that with a lot of law firms, chances are multiple of these so multiple of these leads, essentially, as I mentioned, like typically are end up being not really that qualified in a sense through these lead providers, right? And so when they generate these leads, they send them to one law firm, by the way, right? And if that law firm realizes that these are bad quality leads, they will usually come back to the lead provider and tell them that, hey, these are bad leads, can we replace them? And then they go ahead and replace them. And then what happens is that they go ahead and sell that old lead to you as well, okay? Or any other law firm, essentially, right? Because they usually work with tons of law firms, in specific areas, basically, right? So if they sell a lead to one law firm, they cannot do anything with them. They go ahead and replace, and then they pretty much take that lead and send it to another law firm, which could essentially be you, right? And then they keep on rinsing and repeating this process until the lead is pretty much completely exhausted, and nothing could be done with it anymore, in a sense, right? So like if you think about it, it makes sense why, if you have worked with a lead provider in the past, if you have had success with it, that's great. But if you're like most law firms, you have probably not really seen much success with it, meaning that you get tons of unqualified leads, basically, right? So let me walk you through what makes what I call the qualified lead generation and quasi acquisition infrastructure we typically build out for our partners be completely different, unlike what law firms have essentially tried in the past, okay? What we usually do for our partners that makes them finally get in a position where they get tons of qualified leads in the door, which lead into high-paying cases, is that we first install into their law firms completely done for them or custom law firm growth flywheel. Okay, now this custom law firm growth flywheel, essentially what it does, it takes your criteria of whoever exactly is your ideal type of client for your law firm and force feeds that data into the ad platform, which then allows the AI algorithm to essentially pretty much go ahead and optimize it on that specific person, resulting in only qualified leads coming through. Okay, because what it does, it pretty much finds specifically those types of individuals in your area who match those criteria points that you essentially put it into the algorithm, right? Which could essentially be them having a specific income so they can afford your services, right? If you charge like a retainer up front, as an example for family law, hypothetical, right? Them being around your office as well, them actively searching for law firm as well, hire, and them being serious about pursuing court and things like that. So it's not like they're just looking for information, right? So if you see a diagram, the way how that really looks like is this. We have a system that pretty much force feeds into the AI algorithm exactly the criteria of who is your ideal type of client. So it pretty much goes ahead and optimizes on that. We then launch the campaigns. The algorithm learns and it goes ahead and finds other people within your area who are pretty much direct copies of those ideal types of clients that you pretty much force fed into the algorithm, right? And then there is a system in place that automatically rejects anybody who is not a fit, so that the algorithm knows that this is a bad lead to essentially send, meaning that it goes ahead and optimizes further so that it finds more qualified people, right? And as it finds more qualified people, it keeps on pretty much feeding on that loop of data, right? And it keeps on getting more and more qualified leads for cheaper costs, essentially, right? And so what this does is this pretty much results in more qualified prospects seeing your marketing campaigns, because by leveraging your ideal client avatar list using AI, the ad platform's algorithm pretty much goes out and finds other people who are similar to that. And on top of that, what we also do is we optimize your marketing message in a way that resonates to these ideal types of clients as well, so that when they see your ads, there is a higher conversion rate and only qualified people go through, okay? Because another major mistake that a lot of law firms make is keeping their messaging extremely generic, which attracts pretty much everyone and anyone. So for example, if you run a family law firm and want clients who have a household income of about 100, let's say of about $50,000 a year as an example, hypothetically, right? And you also want these leads to be looking specifically for a divorce, not child custody or anything like that. You want them specifically for divorce, and they also want to pursue in court in the next 30 days. Then if you look at these two examples right here, which one of these two do you think will perform better? The very first one, where you pretty much have an ad campaign message, where you call out anyone who's looking to hire a family attorney, is in whatever income bracket is, and is also not certain whether or not they want to pursue in court anytime soon. Or would you say that the second would perform better, which would essentially be an ad campaign message where you call out specifically people who are looking for a divorce, okay? Not child custody or something else, but people who are specifically looking for divorce, people who make above $50,000 per year in household income and are also serious of pursuing a court in the next 30 days. Well, the thing is that with the very first option, this is what most law firms do with this first option right here, okay? And it will get you more leads, okay? You get tons of leads coming in, but most of these are going to be unqualified because this message right here speaks to everyone and anyone, okay? But with this second message right here, what it will do is it will actually increase your chances of getting the types of people that actually match these criteria points right here, okay? Because you're clearly, calling them out based on these criteria points. You are adding disclaimers, conditions, things along those lines, okay? So the reason why this custom law firm growth flywheel works incredibly well to be installed for our partners is because using AI feeds into the ad platform algorithm a list of exactly who your ideal clients are, okay? Which then allows the algorithm to find other people within your area who are similar to that, okay? That's the first thing. And then the messaging in your ad campaigns resonates specifically to those types of people that you want to attract, weeding out anyone who is not a fit. And this allows you to put your marketing budget towards something that actually works instead of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, okay? Because as I said, most agencies, for example, what they're gonna do is they'll pretty much just simply like run some marketing campaigns for you, right? And you'll pretty much you'll get like leads coming in, but you will attract pretty much everyone and anyone, right? But by you force feeding into the algorithm a list of your ideal types of clients, okay, so that the AI algorithm can go ahead and find people within your area who are similar to that, okay? And then where your messaging actually specifically speaks directly to the types of clients you want to sign on, this combination really makes anyone understand that if you have these two things together, like the chances of you getting tons of qualified leads into the door is like basically like very, very slim, because you're attracting your ideal types of clients and you're specifically speaking to them, so that this way you're actually getting way more qualified leads through the door, in a sense, So how that makes sense. That is the first thing, okay? Now the second thing that you must have in order for you to actually sign on cases profitably, which is something that a lot of law firms don't do when they usually work like with marketing agencies and things like that, which puts them in a position where they cannot really be profitable and sign on cases in an incredibly great way, is that they are perceived as a commodity, okay? Because when I come from the business background where your offer is the number one important thing in your entire business, because your offer will determine whether you get to $1 million or 10 million or 100 million, or whatever that might be, right? And if you look at the law industry, it's extremely commoditized. There is nothing much that sets you apart from other law firms, essentially, right? Which means that you lose on a lot of cases every single month because you compete on pricing or time or things along those lines, right? Now, if you can figure out a way to set your law firm apart from other law firms through branding and unique selling points, you can essentially beat your competition quite easily, okay? So let's speak about what usually marketing agencies and lead providers are gonna do to actually help you with this, okay? Well, first of all, lead providers don't even help you with this at all, okay? Because they just send you leads and that's it, okay? You're paying for a lead, they send you a lead, okay? Marketing agencies, they will usually charge you like $2,000 a month for ads management alone, right? Or whatever else, maybe $1,000 or $3,000, $4,000, whatever they might charge essentially, right? And they will not typically help you with any branding or setting yourself apart from any other law firms, okay? And this puts you in a position where you have literally nothing that communicates to your ideal clients how you're different, which results in you losing on several cases every single month because some of your leads go to another law firm that is cheaper, as an example, right? And you lose on the deal, right? Which is a really messed up position to be in, okay? So that's what you want to do is you want to find a way how you can differentiate yourself so that, you know, people see that you are different, that you do things slightly more differently, and if they resonate to that, they'll actually go ahead and work with you, even if you have a more expensive price than any other law firms within your area, okay? So usually what we do for our partners is this. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and create a system that communicates to their ideal types of clients that their law firm is their best and only option to work with to achieve their desired outcome and also have the best possible working experience, okay? And this essentially comes down to communicating your values, showing you how you conduct business in a slightly different way than any other law firms and any other things that will kind of like set you apart. So for example, if you are, you know, a law firm that provides a small firm attention while delivering big firm results, and that's one of the things, right? If, for example, you care so much about your clients to a point where you provide them your personal cell phone number for a quick and easy communication, then that's another thing that could be like your unique selling point, right? But the point really right here really is whatever sets yourself apart, like whatever your values are, that set you apart from any other law firms, you want to communicate that because the people that resonate with that will hire your law firm as opposed to any other law firm within your area that does not have these values, even if you are more expensive than any of those other law firms, okay? And lots of law firms don't even do this. Like they just, you know, they don't even set themselves apart in any way whatsoever, right? But if you can set yourself apart through branding and messaging and showing how your values are different, how you conduct business in a different way, where of course, like at the end of the day, like you guys do the exact same thing as any other law firm, right? Like you guys do pretty much the exact same thing, but there are some things that change here and there, like small tweaks that you can like pull. They'll make you slightly more different in a way how you conduct business, right? And if you can communicate that, if you can show off that your values are different, right? That really puts you in a position where you have an upper hand, because if people resonate to that, they'll actually work with you as opposed to another law firm, even if they are cheaper, as I mentioned, right? And that's why we create this branding system for our partners that really sets them apart, allowing them to sign extra cases every single month because now they appear different, which allows them to pretty much get most of the marketing budget they're spending, okay? So that's the second thing. And the last thing is the what I call usually the growth specialist and entire lead capture system. Okay, because generating leads alone is not really enough, essentially. Okay, that's like one of the easiest parts really to generate the lead in a sense, right? That is qualified. Now, once you have generated them, what you have to do is you have to get in touch with them, okay? And you need to do that within the first 5 minutes. Okay, if you do it later than 5 minutes, I'll show you what happens usually, but you need to do it very, very quickly in order for you to qualify them further and then also book a consultation, okay? Now there has been this study done, you can see from the screenshot right here, you can actually search up right here as well, there's a source right here at the bottom. But basically, there was a study done where they analyzed and they found out that if you get in touch with your leads, not within for the first 5 minutes, if you get in touch with them later than after 5 minutes, the chances of them picking up the phone and answering your messages decrease literally by 100 times. It literally gets to a point where it's worthless for you to even get in touch with them after the first 5 minutes, right? Because statistically speaking, people usually hire the law firm that is the very first to contact them, which also has greater reviews and gives them a great first impression over the phone, and also can show off how their value is different, basically, showing off how they typically do business in a slightly different way, where they resonate to that as well, okay? That's why speed is incredibly important, right? Because if you generate a lead, and you call it maybe 6 hours after, well, by that point, they'll have already spoken to a law firm, they already, booked in an appointment and possibly even maybe like already paid them the retainer or signed the agreement and pretty much are already moving forward with them. So you literally lost on the deal, right? That's why it's incredibly important for you to call every single within the first 5 minutes of them opting in to essentially sign on more cases, okay? Now let's speak what usually marketing agencies and lead providers do when it comes down to helping you with this, and why it usually doesn't work, and also why for most law firms in general, when they generate leads, like their actual intake process doesn't work at all, okay? But for marketing agencies, what they're usually going to do is they don't even provide you any help with this, right? And the ones that do, okay, they have a process where they essentially usually outsource this part to a call center in a third world country for like $2 to $3 an hour. And a lot of times these callers don't have the best English. They are also not trained on how to specifically speak to law-related leads specifically, okay? And this means that, the leads that you're generating, right? You might be spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing, right? These leads that you are generating are being called by people who don't have a great English, okay? And they're also not really trained on, specifically talking to these types of leads, which results in breaking rapport, okay? Barely any consultations being booked in, and possibly even damage to your brand's name, because they literally say, don't call me again, take me off of your list. And if they see your law firm's name again, they'll obviously remember that experience they had speaking to, that rep, basically, right? So that's like a huge thing, really, in a sense, right? But usually with these agencies, what's going to happen is that the ones that don't provide you any help with this, they just send you a lead, and then you yourself need to reach out to them, which could be really difficult for you to do unless you have an actual intake process in place, okay? And then with lead providers, like most agencies, a lot of lead providers don't even help you with the intake process. They just send you the leads, okay? Now, some of them could do live transfers where before they pretty much send you a lead, they semi-qualify that lead, okay? However, you have to take that initial phone call anyway to qualify them further and then schedule a more in-depth consultation to discuss their case, okay? So, now you can kind of see, you generate a lead, but if you don't really have a system in place for lead capture, right? Then you're in a position where, you literally have a huge bottleneck of signing on cases because you're not able to call within the first 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So what we usually do for our partners is we actually place a growth specialist and an entire lead capture system in their business. And here's how it's basically more different from what they, from what law firms usually essentially have tried in the past, okay? Well, the very first thing is that with every law firm that we work with, we place one of our trained growth specialists in their business who has one main job, which essentially is to call every lead within the first 5 minutes, build rapport and a great first impression, qualify every single lead further, and if they are qualified, book an appointment on your calendar or one of your attorney calendars, and then also ensure that that lead shows up, okay? Now, this means that that person chases, follows up with every single lead themselves so that you don't have to do it on your own or have your team do it instead, okay? What a growth specialist, what essentially sets a growth specialist apart from regular assistants is that they have incredible English, okay? That's one of the huge things. But then also the other thing that's also extremely big is that they are trained on how to speak specifically to the law firm leads specifically, okay? And they're also experts at appointment setting and sales, so they pretty much understand human psychology and how to relate to people and how to essentially make somebody, make a decision to actually speak to your law firm as opposed to any law firm out there, in a sense, right? And really what happens is that this growth specialist works alongside with other processes that allow you to capture the leads, which essentially are email and SMS sequences, allowing you to pretty much automatically using AI to communicate your messaging and do all the follow-ups, okay? Then the follow-up automations, besides the growth specialist allowing you to automatically follow up with every single lead as well, okay? Then a referral system which allows you to increase the amount of referrals you get completely on autopilot with automations and sequences. And then also, a reputation management system which allows you to automatically increase your reviews and increase the law firm reputation, okay? And all this really allows you to focus on what you do best, which pretty much means that you speak to pre-qualified leads, get them to sign and help them on their case. And this also means that the number of cases you sign on, this also pretty much allows you, with all these systems right here, it pretty much allows you to squeeze as much juice out of every single lead that you also get because you have all these automations in place and you have all this growth specialist as well, okay? And ultimately, what this does, it really allows you to have full control over your lead generation and case acquisition to where, as I mentioned, next month, if you really just want to double your case flow, you can quite simply do that because you just simply need to double your inputs in a sense, right? And not to mention, they never ever have to rely on a marketing agency ever again because now you have your own lead generation and case acquisition machine that you're in full control of, okay? Because what we do for our partners, completely done for them, is we build out this whole operation in their law firm that they own forever, okay? So it's not like they need to keep on paying $2,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month to an agency to keep on operating the system. They own their own acquisition now through the done-for-you system that we build out for them, okay? And as I said, as a recap, the reason it works incredibly well because first, it generates qualified leads, through feeding into the ad algorithm exactly who is your ideal type of a client, okay? So it pretty much goes ahead and finds within your area exactly who are your types of clients based on the list that you fed into the algorithm, okay? And then the messaging on those ads resonates specifically to the types of people that you want to sign on, which allows you to pretty much get more people attracted who exactly are the types of people that you're looking for, okay? And then because you have a more unique way of positioning yourself, once these people come through, they see that you do things a slightly more unique way, unlike what I have seen in the past, right? Because these people, they will go ahead and contact some other law firms as well, right? So if you appear different, right, really that puts you in a position where they see that you are in a more unique law firm to work with. So you will have, you know, an upper edge when it comes down to them deciding to work with you or anybody else, even if you are more expensive than any other law firm within your area, okay? And then on top of that, since you have a growth specialist and the entire lead capture system in place, which allows you to pretty much automatically get in touch with every lead in the first 5 minutes, really allows you to be super quick on qualifying them, booking the appointment, and really moving with speed, and then essentially getting to sign on and work with your law firm, okay? So this is really how, you know, our process usually is very different from what most law firms have tried in the past, okay? And these are some of the points, these are some of the main points basically as to why a lot of law firms that have tried to do some marketing in the past by working, let's say, with like agencies, lead providers, or maybe running their own marketing themselves, have barely seen any success with it, because it's not really about like what you do, it's more about like how you do it, right? Because if you do it in the incorrect way, then you're not really going to be able to see results, right? And as I said, there's tons of law firms out there that do marketing on all different channels, right? That maybe you have tried in the past, for you it didn't work, but for all of these other law firms, like, they are incredibly successful with it because they have cracked the code, okay? It's not about like what they do, it's all about how they do things, right? So this is how our system usually is different from what most law firms have tried in the past, and this is the reason why we're able to generate upwards of 30 cases per month, and even more than that are worth a minimum 7.5K in their average attorney fees, essentially, okay? Where each case is worth that amount, and even more than that. We have some clients where an average case is worth literally like 15,000-20,000. You know, some of our clients in the family law space. So yeah, that's pretty much really about it. Now, if you want to see how I and my team pretty much can help you duplicate the exact same system in your law firm as well, where you're able to be, you know, fully in control of your case acquisition, okay, because you have your infrastructure built out in your law firm that generates upwards of 30 high-paying cases every single month, completely done for you, where each case, as I said, is worth at least 7.5K, then, you know, below this video, there should be, like, in the description, like a link for you to go to our website and book in a call either with me or somebody on my team. Or if you might be just reading this document, then scroll at the very bottom, click on this button right here, it's going to send you to our site, and you can book in a call right there, okay? But other than that, I hope that you found this video valuable. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and yeah, peace out.